Let's bring him in, Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe Congini, Akron Children's Hospital Sports Medicine Center. And Joe, where do you want to start with us this morning?
Hey, Ray, I'm getting a lot of questions, and I think kind of one of the medical issues of the week down by my place where people talk sports medicine a lot is allowing some of these players to try to heal an injury while they continue to play through it. And what I mean by that is there's been a lot of talk, say, for instance, with the Browns of Jedrick Wills. As he goes out, he looks like he does well early in the game, and the last 3 weeks he's had to come out of the game. And I think there was even an article somewhat critical of the sport medicine team with the Browns about, hey, should he be playing? Even to a lesser extent, Baker with that shoulder dislocation and playing, and is it affecting his play? And I guarantee you, Ray, I know this for a fact because this is what I do for a living, is the same thing is going on in high schools and colleges, especially in my world, high schools all over town. Soccer players, volleyball players, football players that are out there with certain injuries, and they're not at 100%, and they may make them worse by playing. And in an ideal world, maybe you say, hey, take 4 weeks off, a month off or something. But a lot of these kids, their seasons only last 8 weeks or 10 weeks, and it might be their junior or senior year, their last year, and there's certain injuries we can play through. So I kind of wanted to go through with your audience a little bit today about how those decisions are made. Typically, the medical team, and especially a lot of times the team physician, in my case, in high school, team physician, we take information from the athletic trainers who are out on the field and watching practice. These guys may go through limited practice. They may wear a yellow jersey where they're not being hit during a period of time. Same with soccer or other things in limited practice. If they're in physical therapy getting sports rehab for an injury, we may get information back from the physical therapist. Very often to try to highlight these conversations, these people on the medical team will give us a percentage. They will say, hey, it looks like Jed Wills is 80% this week. It looks like my goalie she's 75% this week. And when people say that, I just want to say kind of what we're looking at for where those percentages come from. Those percentages are not just from pain. In fact, probably of all the factors that have to do with an athlete, pain, believe it or not, might be the least important factor. So they may still be having pain, or they may be not having much pain at all. More important to us is function. So pain is number one. We look at things like range of motion. Where are they in range of motion? We look at things like strength and explosion. A lot of sports are explosion sports, and if they cannot explode in their sport, they can't play it well. There's no sense sending them out there. In some cases, it's balance. Some of our sports balance is more important than others. Some positions in baseball or football, balance may be more important than others. But probably the trickiest one to diagnose is endurance strength, because you just can't, in your office or even in the PT clinic, you can't reproduce an hour of a game, and somebody might be doing very well for two-thirds of the game, and then he pulls on a play to the left side, and he twists that ankle again, maybe in the case of Jedrick Wills, it seems like, and maybe he went into the week at 80% or 85%, and then he re-injures the ankle and has to be taken off the field, and it is very frustrating, and lots of difficult decisions are made about whether to continue on. Sometimes we go to other objective tests like MRIs to help us with that decision, but MRIs aren't really as helpful. And really, sometimes when they go back, the body is healing, especially I talk all the time about young athletes heal so well, but then we undo the healing by allowing them to go back. They're losing ground when they go back. So we have a lot of tough decisions about, do we have a talk with them and their coaches about sitting for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they'll be stronger, and then they won't be losing ground. Injuries that we see this in shoulders, like when they're subluxing or slipping part way, we sometimes will allow kids to play. High ankle sprains like Jed Wills, or even low ankle sprains, will allow kids to play and see how they do. medial collateral ligament, the MCL of the knee, is one that's really common where team doctors may allow somebody to play if they're getting good reports from the trainer or the therapist. They're making progress during the week, but all that can be undone during games. And so it's a very difficult decision. I have to kind of look back and chuckle and be happy that I'm not getting second-guessed like the people out there that are taking care of Jed Wills. But it's part of our business, and it's kind of one of the interesting things is, do you let athletes play through their injury?
Yeah, Joe, it is a difficult decision because I've read a couple of comments even just this week on this topic where head coaches and people on the team, not necessarily Wills, with other teams have said, well, he's looking to play, but the doctors have to tell me if he can injure his injury anymore. And that's where you have to put pain and the person player and going forward and all that stuff together into a decision to be made if that certain player, whether it be high school, college, or the pros, whether they should play or not.
Oh, my gosh, what a great point that is, Ray. You're always right on point. That's the first thing, too. And I didn't mention that, and that really is important, is can I make myself worse for the future? So let's be clear, always when we're looking, especially at high school kids, we're assessing what the injury is, and we're never going to let somebody go out there if they're risking future that, hey, this might be something that gets in the way of the remainder of their career or even long-term issues in the back or other things. So we're not sending somebody out in that situation. But we're looking at injuries where they probably could get better if they had a little more time. They're trying to get to the finish line and improve, and then they could do more healing in the off season. And so that's the kind of injury. But, yes, we are taking in a lot of information in trying to make those decisions.
Joe, great information. Thanks for the visit again, my friend. Thank you very much.
Hey, Ray, it's always so great to talk to you. Have a great week.
You as well. Dr. Joe Congini, Akron Children's Hospital Sports Medicine Center. He joins us Wednesdays on the Ray Horner Morning Show.